I mean, you look at the fact that he's not even playing Tempo Rogue, he's playing Miracle Rogue.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and go into the first game. We have a Control Shaman versus the Control Warrior.
Settle in, everyone, because this will be a while. So here we have Muzzy playing Control Warrior. Muzzy is playing Control Warrior featuring Hecklebot and Archivist Elysiana, so he has the ability to potentially disrupt Language Hacker's plan and go into deep fatigue. Language Hacker's plan, though, is very similar. It's kill all your stuff Control Shaman. That also includes Archivist Elysiana, but he has Shutterwalk. So crucially, Muzzy is not playing Baleful Banker. Muzzy is not playing the young Padarum Brewmaster, Young Brewmaster, Youthful Brewmaster. I always get the name of that card wrong. There's so many Brewmasters, so many different
Millennial
types.
Brewmasters?
Yeah. Craft Beer Specialist.
That's right. Well, Language Hacker has a Sludge Slurper to start things off. And it's already something worth thinking about. You know, it's you don't have that many minions in the Control Shaman list, and a lot of them place a heavy emphasis on Hagatha to go the distance a lot of times in these decks. So I kind of wondered in Language Hacker's mind, like, you know, what's the usefulness of playing this 2-1 when you know Warrior can deal with it super easily versus saving it? But then again, he might run into hand space issues later on.
That's actually one of the very big things. Whenever you're playing a Hagatha deck, you need to be concerned about, or at least aware of, your potential hand space concerns later on. Language Hacker is playing a very spell-heavy version of Control Shaman. He's playing a Thunderhead deck alongside Spirit of the Frog, so he has Lightning Bolt, Zap, Earth Shock, lots of cheap spells that can prevent those hand-sized issues coming up in the future, but it's still something just to kind of be aware of. If anything, I actually think the threat of an Acolyte of Pain allowing Muzzy to draw cards off of your Sludge Slurper may be a bigger concern than the sort of hand space issues and Hagatha concerns later on.
It makes sense. I think it really does play a factor, but at the same time, also depends on how soon those hero cards can come online or whether or not we even get to that fatigue stage. A lot of times I think people underestimate the tempo that can be gained from Dr. Boom Mad Genius to force the issue from Shamans or just other control decks in general. Like, they have to use Hagatha's scheme on maybe 3 minions when they have a lot more ammo to go.
A lot of people sort of have the assumption that they, the Control Warrior games, they always go, Control Warrior mirror matches or Control mirror matches with Elysiana. They always go to the turn timer or whatever.
Right.
That's not true. And we've seen that bear out in the match just yesterday between Roger and Bloodyface, our final match yesterday, where Bloodyface was able to win simply by killing Roger's life total. Just take it, not even getting close to either player hitting fatigue.
Yeah, and even in the following match, obviously, the Bomb Warrior versus Control Warrior, which ended way earlier than I think a lot of people anticipated to start things off. And I think it just goes to show you the flexibility of this deck, and more importantly, just how we have to start thinking about Control Warrior in different situations. Yes, there's a lot of times that you do want to play defensive and go to fatigue, but you see a lot of players play tempo-oriented things like Youthful Brewmaster on 2 because they recognize the matchup and its difficulty if they try to go late in the game without board presence.
And I think, in this particular matchup, Muzzy is going to be the one who has to end the game. Muzzy is the one who has the onus of going outside of his normal sort of comfort zone in terms of how his deck is intended to function.
Right.
In most matchups, the Control Warrior has inevitability. It gains armor, it kills your things, it plays a Mega Assembly, it plays Dr. Boom, and it ultimately plays Archivist Elysiana and wins in fatigue.
Right.
That's not going to work here because Language Hacker has that plan trumped by having his own Elysiana plus the Shutterwalk to duplicate it. So Muzzy is the one who is going to have to find a way to be the aggressor.
Muzzy picks up the shield block. Very convenient. Just goes ahead and plays it for mana efficiency, realizing that it's not going to be a matchup where it really depends on how fast he draws the fatigue, considering that he has that Archivist Elysiana. Taking a quick scan, doesn't have that Baleful Banker, any other combination to bounce it, but a lot of times you don't really need that. In fact, I really like his double inclusion of Ironbeak Owl. I'm not sure how relevant it is in this matchup.
Well, if Muzzy runs into, say, Roger, Roger's mech lineup, and Muzzy did say, well, if people are going to be actually, it wasn't Muzzy, it was Killin' All Day, who has a similar double silence lineup with his Control Warrior, was saying, well, if people are trying to beat your Control Warrior, it's going to be through something like mechs. He actually said something like mechs or, well, mechs. And that's a situation where having that silence effect is powerful. Similarly, Muzzy's deck has those 2 Hecklebots. That is something which your opponent is trying to play a sort of targeted lineup toward Warrior. Maybe they're playing some sort of combo deck. Maybe they're playing similarly an Elysiana Shutterwalk deck. If Hecklebot hits one of those, it means that Language Hacker in this matchup would not have access to them. And that is another way that Language Hacker could potentially break up that core part of Language Hacker's strategy.
Yeah, this is a fairly important one for Muzzy to win, too. Statistically, Control Warrior has a pretty big edge over Control Shaman, but Muzzy needs every edge he can get because he needs as many chances for his Shaman to get a win. And so, especially if his opponent's Control Shaman gets through, Muzzy needs to win like the mirror. That's like his best chance for his Control Shaman to get an edge in this matchup.
Oh, I actually think Muzzy's Control Shaman is almost unwinnable against Language Hackers. Muzzy's Control Shaman is the one that we saw, the same one we saw Just Saiyan playing, where he went to basically fatigue against A8 and ended up losing that game to basically A8 having stuff to do and his deck being full removal. And Language Hacker felt the same way. He said, I don't think I can lose the Shaman Mirror unless one of my key cards gets Hecklebotted, basically. Right. So, I feel like, if anything, that is probably his weakest deck in this lineup overall, and in particular in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, but in terms of statistics, just before you look at it, like everything else is really bad. So,
sure. Well,
I mean, at this point, we just don't want that. Let that Shaman through. If you're a Muzzy fan, if you're a Language Hacker fan, you want this win pretty badly.
Yeah. And I do think it's important to note, the statistics we are talking about are statistics from ladder.
Right.
And in particular, generally statistics from ladder are, something you need to take with a grain of salt when it comes to tournament play regardless, just given tech decisions. And in particular, in a format as new as this one. This is the first major event using Rise of Shadows, and, there's much less information out there, and many decks differ very significantly in the tournament lineups that players are using compared to what we're seeing on ladder. In particular, Shaman, there's so many different builds of Shaman out there, and even in this tournament. So, what you see as far as the statistics are really unreliable, I think.
Yeah. Language Hacker going for this zap. Curious to see that Muzzy valued that early game board tempo with the Omega Destroyer as opposed to allowing it to get to turn 10, but he has Dr. Boom Mad Genius in hand pretty early on, and I think that's going to be really crucial.
Yeah, Muzzy actually has his most important cards in order to be able to win this game. It's Dr. Boom and two Omega Assemblies. He needs to win this game by tempo. He needs to win this game by pressure. Dr. Boom gives him the tempo, and Omega Assembly gives him the resources to actually utilize that tempo from Dr. Boom. Normally, if you don't draw the Omega Assemblies, but you do draw Dr. Boom, you just kind of don't have quite enough. We actually saw that was part of what happened to Bloody Face yesterday. When he was playing, he had Dr. Boom against the Paladin deck, but didn't draw Omega Assembly, and just wasn't able to do anything with it for most of the game. Muzzy, though, he has all the components of that tempo plan that can allow him to take a proactive approach to this game.
Yep, just needs to buy a couple of turns to get to that point until Dr. Boom and make sure that the board doesn't snowball. Thunderhead is a card that can snowball, though. Language Hacker isn't playing anything that leverages it, say, with Bloodlust in comparison to like A8 3650, who is playing that. So Muzzy just setting things up for the future, and there isn't really a punish, I believe. On
there's no oozes in Language Hacker's Shaman list, which means that Muzzy is comfortable that this Super Clutter will just sit here. And I do want to comment a little bit, talk about the plans of each players. Some people may think that the Omega Devastator that Muzzy played last turn was a little bit weird, right? He's playing Control Warrior. His opponent obviously has a lot of removal. Again, given the fact that he has those two Omega Assemblies, he has that Dr. Boom, he is looking to kind of force Language Hacker to use some of his removal early on so that once he is able to get that Dr. Boom online, a lot of that has been expended.
Right.
He's not just able to play the sit back and kill your stuff plan because Language Hacker does have that pairing of Elysiana and Shutterwalk that gives him the fatigue inevitability, as I mentioned before.
And I kind of wonder if, in Language Hacker's mind, if he recognizes that Muzzy's trying to tempo, should he play defensive or should he play more aggressive? He has, a pretty decent amount of damage to Lickums, Thunderheads. He doesn't have any overload now, but if he picks up a little bit more, maybe he can put on an actual pressure plan instead of just kind of letting Muzzy enforce his will, which seems like it's going to be the case once Dr. Boom Mad Genius comes online.
Yeah, it's interesting because not only does he have the pair of Lickums and maybe he's looking to play around Harrison Gems or his weapon project. I think the fact that Super Clutter came down makes him feel more comfortable that there will be at least 2 weapons projects coming down because Muzzy did just set up that Super Clutter for future charges.
Yeah, and a pass from Language Hacker, I wonder if Muzzy just feels comfortable to pass right back, because Language Hacker just didn't really develop. He passes overload turret. He didn't even swing, so it's not like he has to take a defensive measure with his life total. If Language Hacker swung with charge 2 of the Lickum and pressured Muzzy's life total, maybe that warrants him to actually respond. Not that he really could, though. I mean, a lot of his cards are very mediocre in this spot outside of Ziliax. So maybe I think Muzzy passes right back.
I think there will be a lot of players not really doing much, and frankly, I think that, you know, Language Hacker is in part looking to utilize the fact that you know, Muzzy's building up a large hand size and would need to play something. And, yeah, we see it is finally time for Muzzy to do something, though. It will be the Eternium Rover comes down, take out the Thunderhead. Hagatha Scheme picked up for Language Hacker. It's normally a bad card against other control decks, but given the dynamic we've mentioned between these two, how Muzzy is going to have to take a tempo position, it's actually fairly important that he picks it up and is able to start ticking that scheme up in order to be able to answer big boards that Muzzy might present in the near future.
Okay. It does make sense, too, because Muzzy has 2 Omega Assemblies. He needs to free up his hand space eventually as well. Yeah. So if he's like trying to play Dr. Boom and let's say he even gets the delivery drone and picks up more mechs and he has Acolyte of Pain, he restricts his hand a lot solely by the fact that he's not going to play Elysiana for a while. Things like Omega Assembly is going to crowd the hand, and he has more card draw. Yeah. So I like this use of it. And of course, the upside is if Language Hacker doesn't deal with it, he's going to run away with the board because that 4-5 was the strongest thing by a pretty significant margin. Language Hacker using Hex on a magnetized minion just kind of goes to show you how much he's respecting that tempo that Muzzy's developing.
Well, there aren't naturally many big threats in the deck, right? The biggest things you're going to be killing are Hecklebots, basically, right? You know, or Archivist Elysiana, and you know that's not going to come down, you know, for many, many more turns.
Oh, that's true. The fact is, Muzzy has a lot of mid-sized minions that don't really seem particularly imposing, but if you piece them together, they get really strong. This is a turn where I think Muzzy's pretty much has Dr. Boom Mad Genius, or if he wants to delay it, and I think most of the time you just want to play it.
Yeah, you want to get Dr. Boom online usually ASAP to start getting the better hero power for the matchup. Your armor total isn't really what ends up being important here.
Yep.
So I would be somewhat surprised to see Muzzy do something other than Dr. Boom here, simply because, you know, it's a great use of 7 mana when you're otherwise not going to be doing very much.
Yeah, watching Muzzy, seems like he kind of reaches for the mouse and pulls his hand back a couple times. I think he's trying to stay disciplined with how fast he's playing, even though I feel like the play seems really obvious in terms of what we expect him to do. And I think this is just to go show
Look at the grin from Language Hacker in the emote. He's like, really? You went almost to the end of the rope to just play Dr. Boom on 7 against me?
Yeah, exactly. I think Muzzy's trying to stay disciplined. Maybe he's even trying to be a little coy and annoy Language Hacker, but this is, or maybe he's just trying to maximize exposure for his new team, Radiance. Say, you know what, I'm trying to get as much minutes.
As many viewable minutes as I could possibly get with this jersey on camera, okay?
Yeah, he's trying to impress his new team. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. This is an elimination match, and you can't lose a single best of 5 from this point on.
I mean, this is the highest pressure situation that many players have been in. Muzzy's been in this position before. He has played for elimination at Worlds last year.
Right.
He lost.
Right.
And I think that the desire to do one better at least is definitely very heavily on his mind. Yeah. And this is a tough matchup for him. Language Hacker, I think, structurally has the advantage in the way that the decks line up.
Yeah.
And I think
pretty big advantage.
Yeah. And he's trying to find whatever way he can to put himself in a better position than he's been in the past.
Absolutely. I think any decimal point of percentage I can give you a slight edge is huge for Muzzy, because Saiyan was in backstage, was like, yeah, I think we're like a 35-65 underdog when we were prepping last night. I'm like, wow, that is big. That means on average he loses every best of 5, So it's definitely an uphill climb, to say the least. So if Muzzy can do small things like maybe tilt him a little bit with the Dr. Boom play, rope him out and fatigue him mentally, like these are all the different things that he's going to try to look for if he can't get an edge in game.
All right, well, and now, you know, another decision here for Muzzy here. Spring Rocket, I was going to say, I think has to be at least a little bit appealing. He's going to maybe draw with his Acolyte, paying off the Spring Rocket. Getting tricky here, gets to rush it in as well.
It's very cute. You can actually even clear the board. He attacks the healing totem. 0 mana minions can attack if they're forced to with Mass Hysteria and whatnot.
All right, Spirit of the Frog, the draw for Language Hacker. That is his deck's card draw engine.
Love it. I think Spirit of the Frog is criminally underrated.
Oh, that card is so good.
Yes. I remember day one watching Dog stream Malago Shaman, and it's like he zaps, draws a 1-mana spell like Lightning Storm, or like, sorry, Lightning Bolt, and then like plays that and draws like a 2-mana spell, and then just plays that, gets a 3-mana spell, that draws Hex, plays Hex, like draws the Haggis. I'm like, wow, there's just like good spells across the board for Shaman.
Yeah. You know, it's particularly gross with Haunting Visions because you get to, you know, sort of double up on everything.
Right. Yes.
All kinds of awesomeness.
Yeah, there is one copy of Haunting Visions in Language Hacker's deck. That being said, I don't think he needs card draw right now. I think he's trying to find a way to actually, you know, ironically enough, craft a master plan against Dr. Boom. And none of this looks really appealing. He has a Zilliax, but that's not going to do anything.
All right. Well, we do see, didn't mention it, but Muzzy's card draw from that Acolyte picked up Hecklebot. And right. Hecklebot is one of the most important cards for him to try to sort of cheese out a win. You know, Language Hacker was saying he feels like he has a huge edge unless Hecklebot hits a key minion. And in this case, Shudderwock's in the hand. If he can Hecklebot Elysiana here, Muzzy actually has a huge edge.
I mean, there's not many minions in the deck either.
We may see him wait on Hecklebot in order to be able to Hecklebot plus Omega Devastator in the same turn if he does hit a Walking Fountain.
I think the earlier you let it go, the better, though, because you increase or you decrease your chance of hitting the Elysiana the further the game goes, just because they draw more cards.
Yes, it's true.
That being said, Muzzy still might hold on just for a little bit longer, wants more clues, because it's also part of that game where it's still fairly early. And now that I actually evaluate Language Hacker's deck list, it does have a decent amount of minions with the 2 Mossy Horrors, the 2 Spirit of the Frogs, the 2 Sludge Slurpers, even though we've seen 1.
Yeah, and one issue with Language Hacker's deck is that, you know, outside of Spirit of the Frog, he doesn't really have any card draw. Some versions of Control Shaman will play Farsight, which digs you deeper into your deck, whereas it can get you anything. Obviously, thinning out your deck with Spirit of the Frog when you are trying to find a particular thing does get you closer to that. But the card that he needs the most right now isn't even the Archivist Elysiana, because he does need to get that eventually. But the card that he needs to pick up as soon as he can is Hagatha, because otherwise he is losing the battle of resources against his opponent's Dr. Boom.
That's where maybe the Spirit of the Frog is going to be really important. Maybe just to thin the deck to get to those minions. But then what's scarier is that if he plays Spirit of the Frog, that makes Muzzy like more sure that Language Hacker has a small concentrated pool of minions that he's trying to fish for. Not that it would really affect the Hecklebot because it only can pull minions, but it just gives him stronger clues, in order to get closer to his desired goal.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hecklebot finds not Elysiana.
Yeah, not what he's looking for.
And, you know, we did see Muzzy decide to wait that turn until Devastator was active in case he did hit Walking Fountain or Elysiana herself. Now, how to react at this point. He does have the Omega Assemblies online, but he has a lot of cards in hand. So he's going to need to play some things before he fires those off.
Yeah, I think maybe just a tempo plan for now.
And that's his plan, right? That's how he has to win this matchup, is via tempo.
It's a pretty sizable board.
It is.
There's 10 power, and that's just something that puts a pretty significant clock on Language Hacker, so we might have to pull the trigger on some of his removal here.
He's got the scheme.
Yep.
He has been scheming for a bit, but I don't think 8 turns. I think that may be 6.
Should be able to clear it off in any way possible that he wants to combine his resources, though.
Yeah. Oh, that is able to get rid of the board. Spirit of the Frog going to come down, it looks like.
So I think this could be a combination of his overload spells to try to just get all
This
the stuff.
implies that he is firing off some action. Go to Lightning Storm with the Frog, finding himself a Hex. Then he has, if he wants, Zap plus Lightning Bolt, which Zap finds Lightning Bolt finds Witch's Brew.
Yeah, Witch's Brew, by the way, with Spirit of the Frog. Super fun if you have a lot of 3
Zap finds Earth Shock. And now, now the Lightning Bolt will find a Witch's Brew number 2.
Just like that. Drawing 5 cards while removing the entire board.
And Language Hacker did have the opportunity, if he wanted to use Witch's Brew this turn to heal himself and find Haunting Visions.
Right.
Or Lightning Storm. But is just going to say go. Muzzy, he could clear off this Frog to prevent more card draw, but there's a limit to how much you can actually draw off of this, right? He's just going to play with the Owl. He just wants to make room in his hand for the Omega Assembly. Fires it off. Finds another Devastator, a Clockwork Goblin, and a Galvanizer.
Clockwork Goblin is interesting, just to get a little bit more damage, but we do know Language Hacker can replace his deck, so bombs aren't very effective against Archivist Elimination decks. It will replace your deck with 10 discovered cards. Or 5, rather, times 2.
Galvanizer comes down.
Yeah, I think Muzzy might just be on the hero power phase, just like play aggressively plan. Like, force your opponent to heal, to spend his turns healing. He is also overloaded for 3, it looks like. Or 4, because he's zapped as well.
Right, yeah. And Muzzy knows for a fact that Language Hacker does have Hex, Brew in hand, because those are the only 4 and 2 casting cost cards in the deck. So he has a hard read on a significant portion of Language Hacker's hand.
Reactive game plan here for Muzzy.
And scheme number 2, that is, again, pretty decent card for Language Hacker to be picking up here, thanks to the fact that he is going to be playing defense against Muzzy's minions coming off of those assemblies. It is a little bit late, though. It may not have enough time to tick up. Language Hacker does have room to brew once, but the second brew, I believe he will not get the card from Frog because of, let me count this out, he got 4, he got 9 right now, right? So he brews once, so he gets the repeatable copy, not Echo, and the Haunting Visions. If he were to brew again, he would lose the brew. Not that he would play it again. I was just forgetting which happened first.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky because of the sequencing.
Right. All right, gets a Big Bad Voodoo, another brew.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so he does.
Yep. And he gets a 0-cost Witch's Brew, which gets the Lightning Bolt. So these are like really important technical plays for Language Hacker to squeeze out every single possible draw. And more importantly, sequence it so that way he doesn't draw for his 10th card and burn his Elysiana by accident. Yep. That'd be an absolute disaster.
And now we see, this is a matchup, as we mentioned earlier, can definitely go to fatigue both players. 8 cards left, but of course, Elysiana remaining for both of them. Muzzy's in hand, Language Hacker still waiting in the deck.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if maybe somewhere in the back of his mind, Muzzy is thinking about turning into a draw. Because under the draw rules here in the World Championship, if these 2 players go to the turn limit, then they both get a win with this deck.
Correct. Yeah, so and that is the case outside of final game in a match.
Right.
So
if it was 2-2, it'd be a different scenario.
Correct. We're not gonna play literally forever.
Well, they both go to the decider match. It'll be a battle royale on the final stage for second place in the group.
Hearthstone battle royale. Now you're speaking the language. You're not actually. I'd be terrible at that.
Can confirm, have played battle royales.
All right, Muzzy, Goblin sending a bomb to the deck, it looks like.
Yeah, he has to play a minion here, and more importantly, he wants to kind of set up things like his Omega Assembly. Oh, I like this. So Muzzy keeping the Spirit of the Frog alive because it can't attack, therefore Language Hacker will have restriction on the spells that he can play, assuming that it draws more spells from the deck.
Well, there is the Mossy Horror, one of the Language Hacker's tech cards in this deck. He's actually playing 2 copies. Language Hacker specifically expected to see a lot of Token Druid in this tournament, which is a big part of why he's playing Mossy Horror in this deck. He has Baron Geddon and Mossy Horror in his Mage deck. And he has 2 of these in this deck, in addition to Shudderwalk to pair them with. So a lot of respect for token-style decks.
Yep.
Incidentally, he actually said it's another card that's very good if he does end up in the Shaman Mirror match, because one of the ways that the Shaman Mirror match can go is, well, Reign of Toads. It's like, oh, kill that too.
Something that we... No, yeah, the Reign of Toads definitely going to be really big. Language Hacker is starting to make his move because his hand's getting too big. And now he draws his second Lightning Storm with Big Bad Voodoo. Still doesn't have Elysiana, though. And I'm also starting to wonder, like, if Muzzy picks up his Hecklebot, there's a pretty good chance that it lands on Elysiana right now.
And he could potentially find a Hecklebot off of the Omega Assembly as well.
Right.
Crucial to note, Muzzy has played both of his Owls, so that Big Bad Voodoo that Language Hacker played on the Zilliax is guaranteed to hit.
That's huge. Well, huge in the sense that that's like it's like important to know.
It's definitely not huge.
Caster exaggerated.
Because he's going to get a 5-drop. That 5-drop will die. In any number of horrible ways, go look at Muzzy's hand.
Is it the same mana cost or 1 mana more?
Oh, it's 6-drop. You're right. It is 1 mana more. God, casters don't know anything. All right, Warpath. Muzzy's going to start using some of this removal in his hand. He will see what comes out of the box on that Zilliax.
I wonder if there's any huge 6-drops that can come out here.
The Beast!
That is pretty big.
All right, that's a big 6-drop, and it gives Muzzy tempo, right? You know, and you see a little bit of a smile from Language Hackers that happens. Yeah, because now Finkel Einhorn coming out.
Muzzy won't be burning a card because the Warpath Echo will disappear. Elysiana comes to the hand for Language Hacker.
All right, that is important.
That's a big blink.
Now Language Hacker has all the tools to take this game real long.
Yep. I believe we're crossing turn 15. I actually have been tracking it like prisoners in a cell.
Yeah. He's not even kidding. He's like hash
tally marking everything.
I'm taking a picture of this and posting it on my Instagram story because it's really funny.
Nice self-plug there.
Absolutely. I'll post it on Shiro's Instagram story so people can see it there too. That'd be weird. People are like, why is this dog in jail? What's going on?
Well, he's counting down the days until Kibler and Natalie return home. Or, I mean, it feels like a Control Warrior versus Control Shaman.
Yeah.
Language Hacker here, he has to burn cards, and I think now that he has Elysiana, he's not really afraid of utilizing some of his resources.
All right, and we do see the small scheme fired off alongside that Kobold Lackey, Goblin Lackey. Kobold Lackey.
It's a Kobold Lackey, yeah. The Goblin is the one that uses
Goblin's
rush.
double time, double pay.
And Muzzy having pretty mediocre mechs across the board. I mean, Demolisher, not really anything special. Pilot Reaper.
Okay, then.
He doesn't have an offensive game plan. Doesn't really have a way to grab that tempo very easily. With big minions, has it with small minions. But at the same time, tempo is tempo.
All right, Piloted Reaper comes out. No 2-drops in Muzzy's hand, so nothing will come out when that dies. And will we see the Bronze Gatekeeper Magnetic here?
I think he wants a hero power, quite possibly. I think the one thing going for him is that Muzzy has the hero card online for way longer.
Oh, bombs away! How exciting.
Second walking
Was that
fountain.
Agatha? No.
Yeah, it's a second fountain, which is nice. I mean, that just gives Language Hacker ways to recover life and threaten the board. It's also a big individual minion, so that way Super Collider can't do anything. I kind of wonder in Language Hacker's mind, if he gets Hagatha as his 30th card, is that still plenty of time for him to just win this game?
Oh, absolutely. This is not a game, at this point, given the way that things have gone, and frankly, in part, due to the specific mechs that Muzzy has gotten off of Assembly. They have not been terribly good. They've been fairly low impact, right? So there hasn't really been much pressure on Language Hacker. so he hasn't needed the extra value from Hagatha. He's just kind of been able to sit back. Okay, there's a Boom Reaver.
The one caveat is if Muzzy can discover a Mechathune, Mechathune can just win the game straight up. And we have actually seen some success with Mechathune Warrior. In fact, Fibonacci posted a deck list this morning about how he climbed to rank 1 legend with Mechathune Warrior, and is largely capitalizing on the fact that people just don't expect Warrior to drag out, or they are expecting it to drag out the game through replacing their deck and utilizing Archivist Elysiana. Sometimes you're just like, forget all that nonsense. I'm just going to win right now the moment I fatigue.
Yeah, and there's people who are talking about how maybe if you were looking to do a target Warrior style of lineup, that may have been really a better option than some of what we have seen in this tournament. But yeah, that coming off of the Elysiana late, or off of a Discovery Drone or Delivery Drone, not Discovery Drone, or off an Assembly, can be a really big deal.
Right.
But speaking of just big deals, that Boom Reaver's big, and I'm curious to see if Muzzy decides to play that out or hold on to it and hope to get something really big off the Elysiana to combine with it as well.
That's fair, yeah. I mean, Boom Reaver could be utilized with Elysiana after he's replaced his deck, because looking at the cards that Muzzy's played, he has maybe a couple minions at best. He has a second Hecklebot.
I wonder.
And Harrison Jones. Those are the only 2 minions remaining. Oh, sorry, and his Dynamatics. So those aren't terribly impressive, especially if you just pull out one of them with Boom Reaver. Language Hacker doesn't have to do anything. He's at 9 cards. He can still just hold and wait for the Hagatha.
Yep. Although, to some degree, you may want to play out some of your stuff prior to Hagatha to ensure you don't run into hand space issues. I don't have exact knowledge of the last cards in Language Hacker's deck. He still has the Hagatha. I believe he has all of his spells, I believe, right? Oh, he's a Sludge Slurper left.
Yes, he has a Sludge Slurper,
Hagatha, and Mossy Horror number 2?
Yes. Yeah. Here's the second Hecklebot. And so in Muzzy's mind, I think he might have to just rip it because he doesn't know if he has.
Yep, he's like, all right, I hope I hit it. It's not getting better, right? You're drawing your last 3 cards of your deck.
So I think this will all but confirm Muzzy that Language Hacker has that in his mind, which is entirely reasonable and about the average outcome. I like that Muzzy's been holding on to the Super Collider too, because I think he really values the ability for it to win tempo. Things like Weapons Project's not going to do much, but if your opponent's playing, Shutter Walk and Walking Fountain, maybe that's the way for you to play the Boom Reaver, pull out a big minion, and then swing.
Sure, yeah.
Hagatha finally comes into the hand.
All right, and, this is a little bit awkward for Language Hacker. He can't actually remove this board with the Hagatha at the moment. Is he looking to play the Hagatha here? Is he looking to just, he could play Walking Fountain number 2, kill this. The key thing, really, though, in this style of matchup, once you get to the Elysiana turns, having Hagatha means that you aren't just limited to your Elysiana cards. You're not just limited to the cards that were in your deck. You have Hagatha cards too. So every time you get a minion off of your Elysiana, you get a minion and a spell. So you actually, even if you're not playing, not like actually winning a full-on fatigue situation, you don't need to really. You actually are just able to often win by killing your opponent's stuff with your extra stuff that you have thanks to the Hagatha ability.
That being said, I do feel like Language Hacker used one scheme a little bit liberally. It was only 3 damage. And, Muzzy gets closer to having big tempo swings. Like, if you can get a couple of more powerful minions onto the board and force Language Hacker's hand, Boom Reaver's going to go uncontested. But Language Hacker still has that second hex, that second scheme, so it's still going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, and Language Hacker also still has Walking Fountain. He has Hex. He has the Witch's Brew. So he has a lot of time, to take hits from, say Muzzy just suits this up, right? That's still just, okay, fine, I'm taking 4.
Yes.
That's just not much damage, right?
I think Muzzy's trying to figure out the right way to pressure. Then again, I don't think Bronze Gatekeeper is fantastic as a solo minion, so attaching it might be the best course of action. Oh,
I like this from Muzzy in terms of like making it awkward.
There's the Harrison
for Language Hacker, because Language Hacker is drawing his last card this turn.
Right. So now
this is the turn where he wants to play Elysiana. He wants to sort of reset his deck and avoid fatigue.
Yes.
And by presenting this now, he ends up putting up a position where Language Hacker is going to have to play in a way that he does not want to.
Right. Language Hacker getting used to the Spear of the Frog before he replaces his deck so he doesn't draw deeper into this fatigue unnecessarily. We're crossing turn 20, by the way.
We still got, what, 70 more to go?
No, the turn limit is 45.
I thought it was,
it's 90 turns total, I believe. And it's like 45.
Okay. So this is, yeah. I was thinking.
Sorry, I have it because it's a lot easier to track if I
per player. Okay. Yeah, I was like, what?
I believe. I could be mistaken, but if I'm wrong, let me know. Which is Lackey, which is very good, actually, with a lot of the big minions in the deck.
Yeah.
You can convert Archivist Elysiana.
And, while it looks like, he's going to overdraw, there's no cards in his deck. He can't overdraw.
So, Muzzy, with this delivery drone, keep in mind, the thing that we're looking for is actually a Mechathune. And then, how can Muzzy find a way to activate it if possible? But it's difficult. He has a Mechathune. That is big, but the second stage of that, he needs to dump his hand and also find for a way to not get hexed.
Yeah. I mean, so Mechathune is awesome in this sort of situation. Of course, it's a potential alternate way to win, but it is not easy to use, right?
Yes.
It's not just, my deck is empty, I Mechathune you.
Right.
It's not Chef Nomi in that way.
That being said, he has a way to activate it. If he can stick Mechathune, he has double weapons project and a shield slam.
Right, and yeah, he's going to take it.
So I think now he's aggressively dump his hand.
Yep.
But if he's aggressively dumping his hand too much, wait, no, how does this work? Because he has Elysiana too.
Right.
He has to play
he has Elysiana first.
Oh boy.
But it's also just a big minion, right?
Right.
And it's a big minion that if Language Hacker doesn't deal with, there's maybe this alternate win condition.
Right. He has to hex that or he's reused his second Hegatha scheme. And so now, Language Hacker's in a position where he wants to Elysiana. Does he pull the trigger now? Or does he try to deal with the mech threat?
I don't think this is that big a threat. I think that you're at the stage, from Language Hacker's perspective, you have to Elysiana.
Yeah, you don't get that many more opportunities, and Muzzy's going to only develop more.
Right.
And also, it's not like you want to hex this either.
Mm-hmm. And frankly, Language Hacker doesn't have that much time to decide to Elysiana because there's a lot you have to do in terms of both decision-making and animation.
Evaluate your time, too.
Really? He's going to hex this?
Oh, that's the second hex?
I am very skeptical of this decision from Language Hacker. Obviously, we know that there is a Mechathune in hand, but that's just not that big of a threat. And there, even outside of Mechathune, there could be another just big thing. Elysiana is bigger than that.
Yes, exactly. Right? It's a 7/7.
Are you just going to try to keep reacting to each of these? Heavy Metal is big.
Heavy Metal's big.
27 armor for Muzzy. That's 6 for a 10-drop.
It's true. Battle Rage isn't bad either to help him get closer to his Mechathune situation.
Yeah.
Although Yeti's just the best minion. Or Lore Walker Cho to mess with them. I don't know. There's a way to utilize Lore Walker Cho.
Keep warp weapons projecting so your opponent never draws a card.
Oh, that's interesting.
Nestormu! I want to see Nestormu. I mean, frankly, though, your opponents use both Hex. So just big stuff is a really reasonable route to victory here.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
This doesn't look that great. I think I value the cheap cards so you can kind of get it out of his hand.
I think that there's some incentive. Oh, he took Nestormu. If he took Nestormu, he could take Fire Tree Witch Doctor.
He did.
And now Language Hacker, he's fatiguing for 2. He's going to Elysiana here in a worse position than he could have Elysiana last turn. That's a big part of why I just really don't like his play last turn.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a little bit extra damage. The way this game is progressing, we're barely at the halfway point. I think this game is not going to go to the turn limit.
I think when people look at games going to the turn limit, Bog Slosher, by the way, is insane with Agatha. You can keep getting additional spells. Alex Straza, Stormbringer, you don't really have any way to generate extra
Yeah.
minions, which makes Stormbringer kind of unimpressive. Your opponent has also not played a Brawl.
Yeah, I like the Alex Straza, or even just the Senjin for defensive.
So the thing is that the situation for Muzzy and the situation for Language Hacker in terms of their optimal picks is different because Language Hacker has the Hagatha. So Language Hacker wants to take things that allow him to weave in spells as well quite frequently, simply because if he uses all of his mana, he's just going to have a full hand fairly frequently. Whereas Muzzy, he needs to have the highest impact stuff he can each turn.
Right, and
I kind of like Witchy Lackeying this.
I do. I like it. Want to upgrade
You
it?
have a bad 8, you get a 9.
You might get like Malekith.
King Crush.
You might get King Crush.
Oh yes! He's an ancestral healing. He can trade with the 8/8 and heal it if he's in time. Oh no! He didn't have the time to ancestral healing to save that.
It's a waste. I mean, I guess maybe he's using it for the walking fountain of some sort.
Still, you're just. What matters here? You have so much more value than your opponent.
I agree.
I feel like the tempo of I get to protect my 8/8 here is huge. Whoa!
Whoa! We have a Hearthstone game on our hands.
My God!
Language Hacker chuckling, saying, yeah, kind of knowing that this is it. But, I mean, this is just 10 mana threat after 10 mana threat, and the Hex was used already. Oh, he picked Mogushon Warden. I thought he picked Crowd Roaster in that position.
I don't think he had a dragon that he picked.
Oh, right, because he skipped the Alexstrasza for Senjin. I mean, it was on the opposite side of... oh, my God.
All right.
All right. Well, this game just got really nutty.
He was overloaded, so he can't actually Earthen Might this.
Oh, yeah. That's annoying.
He can
and
attack
also,
and zap.
He has to zap it.
Which is fine, but this is going to get interesting.
Well, the thing is, he can also replace his deck with Corrupted Bloods.
Right. So, Muzzy has Muzzy can have no way to get out of these Corrupted Bloods, whereas Language Hacker, he can play that Shudderwalk and replace his deck again with Elysiana. He does replace his deck with Elysiana with random cards because he doesn't get to choose.
It's true, but he removes the Corrupted Bloods from his deck.
At what stage is what play correct?
Yes, and I think now Muzzy recognizes, well, he couldn't deal with that, and I'm just going to play Mecha'thun for tempo. I love this play.
I agree, and we're coming back to feeling like that Hex that Language Hacker had played on the 4/9 is left him in a pretty bad spot.
All right, Blazing Invocation to try and find a nice Battlecry minion. There's silences in the pool.
Witch's Apprentice gets him 2 spells. Bloodsucker Corsair will kill. He has, so we'll get a spell off of this, then a spell off of Hagatha.
He's looking for a Hex
Lava
removal.
Burst. Ancestral Spirit.
It's a funny Mecha'thun counter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's good.
And he has Frost Shock. He can Frost Shock the Mecha'thun.
Yes. Imagine a world where Mecha'thun just never dies until Muzzy action fatigues.
But this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the power of Hagatha in these games. Okay, man. Heavy Metal number 2. The Hagatha just continues to give Language Hacker extra value with every single minion that he is able to play. That Mogushon Warden, gave him, I think it was the Frost Shock. That Witch's Apprentice, gave him 2 spells.
Right. I think Muzzy also is going to look for this delivery drone to once again make big impact. At this point, tempo is king. I think if he gets a Mega Destroyer,
another Boom Reaver.
He has no Dormu in his deck. He can pull out an 8/8 and also force Language Hacker in a bad situation time-wise because the animations from Hagatha, plus the fact that Language Hacker is a slower player.
It's true. And look at Muzzy's hand. From a tempo perspective, he still has 2 Shield Slims and 27 armor.
Right.
So
he has all his removals.
This is not really a board that Language Hacker can really react to effectively with minions. He's going to have to protect himself by killing these minions.
Yes, I like this. Hagatha schemes are gone. Pushing just a little bit extra damage here. Language Hacker has the Bog Slosher.
Nothing to bounce. There is always the fallback plan of the Shudderwalk.
Yes.
And I think that might be what Language Hacker's going with.
There's Slurpers. There's Mossy Hars. I mean, there's the Elysiana. Those are the battle cries.
Well, there's also just Hagatha. Hagatha will at minimum, and I believe he had. There's a Witchy Lackey.
Oh, the +1 attack and rush. Yeah.
Yeah, Goblin Lackey.
Very big
down,
to clear.
So he does clear this.
Corrupted Bloods are gone as well.
And his hand is full, I think. So, oh, he has...
So he has
Bloodstone
Voltaic
Raider, Voltaic Burst, Witch's Apprentice, Henge Clan Sneak, Tinkmaster Overspark in his deck. That's actually like reasonable, given that it's just a bunch of minions and he wants spells off of this. But you know, Muzzy, he's got this Boom Reaver.
Yeah,
he can go big.
This Boom Reaver pulling out Nose
and heavy metal. He has just a lot of ways to continue to make big threats, and Language Hacker does not have great ways to deal with big threats. Oh,
Big Bag Archmage.
That's 2 big threats. Well, it's 2 mid-sized threats, which is actually probably better for Language Hacker.
It's big enough that it's like annoying for Language Hacker because Lightning Storm still doesn't clear it, and
Right.
Lava Burst doesn't clear it. He needs to combine them, and it's not even guaranteed. Still a pretty good position. By the way, I'm still just incredibly impressed that Muzzy has kept his first Super Collider.
Yeah.
He still hasn't swung with it. I'm like thinking...
Bad 6-drop from the Big Bad Wolf, though.
Yeah, that's the hand buff card, right?
Right. Yeah, that is...
I apologize for not knowing the name.
Glowstone Technician, I think. So Lava Burst. It's going to hit the Big Bad Archmage. We're going to see the Witch's Apprentice come down.
Seems like a storm opportunity.
Another Lava Burst to Temic Smash.
Yeah, that should help clear off the other minions on the board.
Not going to get a totem with this one if he fires it off, but still, you know, Muzzy's hand. He's got Boom Reaver.
He's got Boom Reaver. He's got another delivery drone, which makes me think he might even hesitate yet again because he needs to maximize every single opportunity.
I don't know about that because I think that he wants to minimize Language Hacker's time. Language Hacker has Hagatha, right? And Muzzy has Corrupted Blood in his deck. So Muzzy's not in a position where I think he can just partition everything like exactly. And if he doesn't have Nozdormu in his deck, he has 2 Nozdormus in his deck.
He also has 2 Yetis and another Fire Tree Witch Doctor.
Right.
Though.
So I feel like...
And a Light Warden.
I feel like maximizing tempo and preventing Language Hacker from getting opportunities to get cards off of the Witch may be more important than just trying to use Delivery Drone every time it's up. There's Nozdormu, okay.
So he can Fire Tree Witch Doctor for a spell.
He can. This does mean that his deck is less just big stuff.
Yeah.
So that may mean that Boom Reaver is like something he wants to wait on.
I mean, Fire Tree Witch Doctor can pull out some big stuff. Maybe he gets another Mechathune!
This is just haymaker after haymaker from Muzzy and Delivery Drone here.
All the rules of Hearthstone are being broken because you're only supposed to play 1 legendary deck. Lysiana gives you 2 copies. Now he's discovering the 2nd copy of Mechathune, assuming he wants it.
This
I mean,
would be a good time for a master plan.
I think the Mechathune here is just good so he can layer threats 3 turns in a row. He can drop Nozdormu, he can drop the Boom Reaver, he can drop Mechathune.
Mortal Strike, Heroic Strike, Sweeping Strikes. This is a lot of strikes going on.
I think, yeah, the cheapest makes the most sense here.
You can just use Heroic Strike and kill this 2/3 if he wants.
I think so. And just we can't re-equip something. Maybe he just attacks and re-equips another Super Collider.
Okay. Well, there is Mossy Horror available for Language Hacker. He could actually attack face Bog Slosher the Witch's Apprentice to get another Apprentice in his hand, play the Mossy Horror, kill both minions on Muzzy's side of the board. Oh, no, he can't. Never mind. He is overloaded for 4. My bad. But it will be Bog Slosh, it looks like, on the Witch's Apprentice.
You belong to the bomb.
Yep, just trying to continue to maximize his value.
A lot of spells. And this is kind of part of why...
These are actually, this is starting to become a little bit bad here for Language Hacker.
No. He has Voltaic Burst.
Oh, you're right.
He has Voltaic Burst, Witch's Apprentice. These are the cards you actually want in combination when you have Stormbringer. As a professional Stormbringer player.
Well, the thing is, though, Muzzy has 2 brawls that he's been saving, so...
It's true. That is why that's a lot weaker.
All right, let's find out what he pulls.
Boom.
Not amazing.
Sick.
Actually, that's just the worst option because he drew his 2nd Fire Tree, so he had Light Warden, 2 Yetis, and a Nozdormu. That was a 1 in 5.
Oh, Stealth. Is that the... that's a 3, so that's...
It's a Spirit Shark! What?
Ooh, is anything sick?
Yeah, Witch's Apprentice gives you 2
He
spells.
doesn't have room for that many spells. I think we're gonna see the Stormbringer here. It does mean that he gets a stealth minion, which does mean that
didn't go as
we're gonna see. Oh, and there's
Wind Fury, 2 Wind Fury? That doesn't work.
Bring in the storm. Let's go.
Khagdar.
All right. So now, you know, Muzzy's in a position where he probably has to pull the trigger on Brawl.
Okay,
he does still have Super Collider.
One thing about Corrupted Bloods is Muzzy can play it the same way he bombs, where if his hand is full, he discards it. So I think that's also why he has his interest in keeping his hand full. Because he can get in a situation where he can Fire Tree Witch Doctor, discover the 10th card, keep his hand full, and burn the Corrupted Blood, and make that a non-factor, then sending Mechathune into the position that he needs to. So Muzzy does have a clear win condition from this point, and it comes in 4 turns, or probably 6 turns.
It's pretty convoluted. It's
because he needs to play his entire hand. But that's why dumping Brawl here is not a bad thing. However, I think he has to play Brawl and nothing else because he needs to keep his hand full.
Well, that's only, I mean, he has a 25% chance of drawing a Corrupted Blood, right? And if he does play Brawl, his hand still isn't full.
Right, it's just that if he knows that the Corrupted Bloods are shuffled into his deck. Actually, that's true because he still has
another heavy metal. Yep. All right.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
He's not going to Brawl. He's going to attack, kill off the 2 big things, shoot the Khadgar, and play another heavy metal, I think. Yeah. With that discovery.
Or even just shoot. If he's going to do this, is he going to develop with Shield Slam Yeti? Or he just heavy metals?
Also, that's an option. Oh, no, keep his hand full. The plan that you were talking about.
Yeah. I think he recognizes that his cards remaining are another Yeti, another Dormu, another Light Warden, and a Corrupted Blood. Those are his 4 cards remaining.
Okay. Yep. I think we may see... All right.
Another
Eurekas are not too exciting here. There's a second Stormbringer in the hand as well. Nothing impressive in terms of big minions.
Wait! Hold on! I just realized something. Sorry. And this is down the road. Language Hacker, did you say he has Tink Master Overspark in his deck?
I believe he does. I believe he does.
Doesn't that nullify the effect of Mechathune?
If Mechathune is the plan, it does make it very difficult for it to work out.
So it's in Language Hacker's best interest to hide that in case, because if Muzzy knows that the second copy of Tink Master Overspark, he's going to try to bait that out way before with his Nose Dormus. Also, I like that Muzzy filled his hand up now because if Corrupted Blood does get drawn and 2 get shuffled in, the 10-card hand plan only works 1 time. Wind Fury. Totemic Slam.
For the value plan.
Clear. Muzzy's hoping for that 1 and 4. Burn the Corrupted Blood. Light Warden. Does he pass?
It seems to be consistent with his plan.
I think he passes here. You gain 7 armor. Go.
All right. Yeah, that's what Muzzy's into here.
Tink Master Overspark comes in the hand. If he plays it, he's going to try to transform into a Devilsaur.
We've got Stormbringer 2.
Oh, it's a squirrel.
You can go with Stormbringer number 2. Not going to be a better opportunity for it, I think.
A Mechathune for Language Hacker! Your expansion was two sets ago! And yet we still see Mechathune all over the place.
I do want to point out, by the way, this is game 1. This is just game 1 of this match. We are how many turns?
This is turn 30, actually, I believe, if I've lost count.
We're too engrossed in the Mechathunes.
Well, either way, I don't think this is going to go to the 45th turn because
that's the Dormu.
And now Muzzy, I think, has to pull the trigger on this.
I mean, yeah, this is too scary. He was not able to burn Corrupted Blood in 2 turns, had a 25% chance.
But he can delivery drone. That's actually huge.
Delivery drone. You're right. You are absolutely right.
Splinter Grass survives. Clockwork Automaton actually has some use with the laser, but Vicious Scrap Hound gives him a little bit of life. Dynamatic helps him clear the board.
Yeah, I think that Muzzy's plan is he's just going to try to get rid of that Corrupted Blood because Language Hacker pulled the trigger on that Shudderwalk. Look at the deck sizes, too. Language Hacker doesn't have that much stuff left.
Right. Desperation, but that's second Wind Fury.
16, yeah.
Big damage coming from Language Hacker. The blood is burned. Muzzy nodding. Finally getting what he was seeking for multiple turns now.
And now Muzzy has Shield Slam Nose Dormu and putting Language Hacker in a position where he is behind on board and has to think fast if he wants.
And now Muzzy can finally dump his hand and prepare for the Mechathune. The stage is set, Kibler. He can play Dynamatic and clear the sneak.
I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that Muzzy has just a bunch of big threats. I don't even know that it's the Mechathune that's going to matter, other than it's a 10-10. You know, here, Language Hacker, he doesn't really have great ways to, continue to generate threats, generate resources.
But he's in a situation where Muzzy can, like, Mechathune brawl. If it dies, he wins. If it survives, he, like, pushes 10. Sure. So it's, like, kind of a pretty good scenario, I'd say.
There's definitely a lot of opportunities here for Muzzy. He has a lot of life to work with.
And Language Hacker, the moment he picks up...
That's an awkward card. From Language Hacker's perspective, this is still very much a fatigue game. He doesn't want to dig.
And he also knows that Muzzy has a Nosdormu because one was burned off the top. The last card remaining is this final Chewin Yeti.
That's it. I'm out of cards.
Muzzy is finally on the fatigue clock.
It's a long clock. 37 life.
The dumping continues. The beginning of the end. Of the beginning.
Mossy Horror comes down, deals with the Microbots. Finds
Ancestral Spirit. Not that useful, but helps him have some semblance of board presence.
Mutates.
Well, he doesn't have any damage spells.
He doesn't. It's going to come back, though.
But the Witch's Brew. The Witch's Brew is really nice. Sorry, the Witch's Brew. The Witch's Apprentice is nice because it gives him 2 chances to get damage spells. No attack.
He doesn't want to expose the sneak to the ability for Muzzy to attack into it with Super Collider.
Right.
If he's going to Super Collide, he has to attack into Velen himself.
Muzzy has the Heavy Metal, and he's thinking about ways to dump his hand. Heavy Metal has the best use now because if he's going to take damage of his armor and a big fatigue plan, he's going to have less chances to get good Heavy Metal stuff. However, maybe in his mind, he doesn't want a 10-drop per se because that gives him a risk of getting Hakar. And this is actually stuff that players really think about. If you see things like players don't play a Faceless Lackey when they're really far ahead on board, it's because they don't want to get Doomsayer. It's like things like that that really put them in corner case scenarios that they really want to avoid.
Ow. Yeah,
Clear.
And now we can see Blast Shield Heavy Metal.
He's avoiding it. And I totally understand his perspective, if that's what he's thinking.
I want to see another Stormbringer. 3-in-1 game, let's go.
No, these are pretty weak.
Yeah.
But damage is damage. If he Eureka's, actually, Muzzy already knows that there's a second Dink Master.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If Language Hacker is tracking into the 33rd turn, he should know that Muzzy's delivery drone hasn't placed something. What is happening? I don't understand Hearthstone anymore, Brian Kibler.
By the night.
So this game is a Shaman versus a Warrior. Got a Tyrion, got a couple of Dormus, got a couple of Mechathunes. We're over an hour into this single game.
I am loving every second of it.
Here comes Tinkmaster.
Tinkmaster is out! But that means Mechathune is fair game.
Another Stormbringer. He's got Voltaic Burst as well.
What? This is a very long tornado.
If he plays the Henge Clan Sneak, he'll just get hit by the Super Collider.
Right.
There's no cards in his deck, though. This is all he has to work with. This plus whatever card comes off Henge Clan Sneak. That's it. Language Hacker's out.
So the Stormbringer has to carry home unless he gets another big spell off the Sneak. Wind Fury.
That doesn't do it.
I mean, that'll help cement his Stormbringer's position if a big minion survives a brawl.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he does have Voltaic Burst plus Stormbringer as really his last breath next turn.
But now Muzzy has a tempo advantage because Nosdormu plus Super Collider, that might just end the game. Unless Language Hacker can turn it with the Voltaic Stormbringer. This is the big push from Muzzy.
3 fatigue, not even a dent.
This has to be.
Total.
This has to be a Nosdormu.
All right.
It's so fitting that a long game is now going to be rushed towards its conclusion.
All right, speaking of rush, we'll take burst. Let's get 2-1-1 rush.
The last-ditch effort from Language Hacker.
Oh.
That is the worst outcome.
Speaking of fitting conclusions to a game,